Hi guys, this is Christine, your relationship and mindset master doctor and your leverage for change. Today I want to speak about relationships in general and some of the things that can be a real turn-off in relationships. And this can happen when you just meet the person. It doesn't even have to be really close relationships, but say for example, it can be your co-workers. It could be people that you you volunteer with, or just people that you see kind of regular but not live with, right? And you can imagine how this can be intensified. These things, these annoyances in relationships can be intensified when you actually live with the person, see them every day. So I just want to go over a few of them so that, I sometimes when I do these videos, the things are so obvious, guys. They're really obvious, but a lot of times people, unless they hear it or it's like pointed out to them, they just operate from that subconscious programming that they've always done. They've always done certain things. And so this is why I do some of these videos that seems very like, oh, we all know that already. Yeah, we all know that, but we all continue to do these things. All right. And so this is why I'm doing this. So guys, one of the things that can be a real turnoff in any kind of relationship is someone that is just too sensitive. Someone that's just too sensitive, meaning that everything you say, no matter what you say and how you try to say it in a way that's not going to be hurtful or something that will put somebody down, they take some kind of offense to it, and then you feel, after a while, you feel that you have to be walking on eggshells around these types of people. So you don't want to see them. You see them coming and you just try to hide or something because you don't know what you can say to kind of get them into kind of like a tizzy, right? So just being too sensitive. And these behaviors that I'm going to be actually speaking about, guys, these are also caused, a lot of these are caused by certain traumas that people have suffered in relationships, or it could be in just general experiences and life experiences. So this and they just never ever dealt with it. They didn't get it resolved. They didn't question it. They didn't kind of try and work on it. They just kind of got bitter and just basically did some, just continued to be who they were because they just felt that that's who they were. And some individuals will actually say to you, I cannot change, this is who I am, right? But everybody can change if you want to. All right, so the next thing that someone can that a person can do that can be a real turnoff is neediness, guys. Neediness. And this is particularly for the anxious preoccupied attachment style, can be very needy. And so this neediness can show up in form of like just wanting this person to be just always there for them, always wanting to know where they are, what they're doing, always wanting them to solve their problems, kind of thing, feeling as if they should not be apart. And when they're apart at work, maybe the texting and the calling and that they should answer immediately, that kind of thing, can really wreak havoc on somebody's, when you're doing that to somebody else, guys. Because this neediness is it's really stressful for the other person, especially if they actually care about you and they're trying to kind of really kind of satisfy the fact that you're so needy. It's a lot of work. You can imagine that if somebody were to do the same to you. The next thing is that can be a real turnoff is someone who just listens to respond. That you're having a conversation, just talking and kind of like chit-chatting or whatever it is. And this person, as soon as you say 2 words, they are just responding to that. They're not really interested in hearing your entire conversation. They're just responding to something. And usually what they do is they might respond, especially if it's somebody who's like narcissistic, they're going to respond and turn that conversation around to focus on them instead of what you were talking about. So you feel unheard and misunderstood because this person is really not interested in what you're saying. So you feel every time you feel you leave that conversation with that person, you just feel very, just like you nobody, she didn't hear you. She or he did not hear what you said. Instead, They just listen to respond to what they didn't really listen to understand what you're saying, and just to kind of understand where you're coming from and all the other emotional things that's connected to that, what you're saying. They just wanted to respond, right? So that can be a real turn off, guys. The other thing that can be a real turn off too is that your mouth is saying something, right? But your body language is showing something totally different. So you may be saying, no, I don't, oh yeah, I have time, I can listen, or whatever it might be. But your feet are pointed away and your whole body's turned like you're ready to run in the opposite direction, right? Now, the funny thing is that even though people don't understand, may not understand body language, they will feel that you're not quite with them, because the body, there's a kind of a innate kind of understanding of how your body should line up when you're in total agreement with what the words are saying and what you are really feeling. So people can see that and will recognize that, well, at least most people actually know that I think of it, guys, because there are some individuals that you actually want to leave because they're just going on and on and on and on and on, and you have to leave to go somewhere. And your body will be turned, your feet turned to go in the opposite direction, and you're actually taking steps in, to move away, and they're following you. I know of people like that. They will follow you, right? You go into the car, they stand up there, you're in the car, and they stand by the door talking, just continue talking. Those people are like they really have no sense of what body language is about. I don't know how they can not see that, but there are people like that. So beware of that as well, right? But seriously, when what you're saying is not aligned with what your body is saying, people will not be comfortable with that either. It can be a real turn off. Because what they feel is that they can't trust what you're saying, and when somebody does not trust you, then there begins some type of a problem. The next thing, guys, is that someone who is always finding the negative things and everything. You could say something with 5 positive things and 1 negative thing, and they'll find the 1 negative thing to focus on. It's like a Debbie Downer, they just bring out all the negative thing and just latch onto it, and they won't let it go. And so by the time you finish talking to these types of people, you just feel like you've just been immersed into muck and mire, like you've been swallowed up in some dark hole, and you just feel like you don't even want to be in their presence anymore. So these types of people, you see them coming and you run in the opposite direction, because people do not like, well, most people. Now they'll find people, if they find people just like themselves, they all just have a little pity party and sit there and complain about all kind of negative things, that is when they find their crew. That's their crowd. That's good. They can do that as long as they will leave the people who are not focused on negativity all the time alone, right? And so that can be a real turn off, guys. The next thing is people who are critical and judgmental of others. So anytime they will look at somebody and or something, and they will always find what's wrong with it, never see what's right with it. And especially people who have certain belief systems, and they just look at you and they figure, and believe me, guys, this is actually, in a way, it's kind of normal for people to form some kind of opinion of you the first 3 seconds of seeing you. But that does not mean that they have to be critical of you. So yes, that's, it's, people do form that. It's an innate thing, because it's a kind of a survival thing, really. Because you look at somebody and you kind of size up and see if this person is going to be dangerous to you or not dangerous. And so people, we are wired to kind of come up with some kind of an opinion of who this person is, by the way they dress, the way they walk, the way they talk, the way they look, whatever it might be, and we'll come up with some kind of thing. But what makes this different is that there are people who will just because you may look different, or they find some fault with what you look like, even though they can't create you, they will just say, oh, that person is so ugly, or oh, that person, look at that, how they dress, whatever it might be, right? And so there are people who are just, that's their whole lifestyle. That is where they get their pleasure from, is criticizing and judging people. And so that can be a real turn off, guys. Next thing is that people don't bossiness. You know, somebody who like to always just tell people what to do, and you know, they just elect themselves boss of everybody. So wherever they go, they try to be in charge of everything and boss people and tell them exactly what they want they should be doing, as if nobody else has a clue, right? That can be a turn off, guys. The next thing is never accepting responsibility. So, you know, I mean, one of the things that shows maturity is when you are able to accept when you do something wrong instead of blaming others. But these individuals who never accept responsibility will always, 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 sorry, will always be finding somebody else to blame. You know, even if it's something that they did, they're going to be saying something like, you caused me to do that by this, by this, right? But if we understand that we are the only people who have the power and the responsibility with how we respond to certain things. We have that power. Nobody should be able to cause us to respond in a certain way. Even if they hit you, you can choose to hit back or not hit back, right? So, you know, when somebody does not take responsibility for their actions, that can be a real turn off. The next thing, guys, is hogging a conversation. You cannot imagine it. I mean, I'm sure you all have experienced this in one way or another with individuals, that you're having a conversation and you can't get a word in edgewise. You will say one thing and they just go on for another hour, and if you try to and they just shut you up and continue like you don't even exist, but they're having a conversation with you, right? But they're mostly focused on basically themselves. So as soon as you say something, they will respond in a way that turns the conversation back to themselves and just go on and on and on and on and on, and just never allow you to just kind of make any comment whatsoever. That can be a turn off, guys, because you feel that, you know, this is a person that I am talking to kind of like understand certain things, and they're not even hearing me. You know, I'm sitting here listening to everything that they're saying, and they're not even hearing what I'm saying. So obviously they don't value me. So that can be a real turn off. Another thing, guys, is when you don't keep your word. You know, your word should be your bond. Nowadays in society, people will just say whatever they want to say and believe that they can just say it and not really do what they say they're going to do. And so that can be a real turn off, because that is a big trigger for lack of trust. You cannot trust somebody who cannot keep their word, right? It would be a turn off for me, that is for sure. The next thing is gossiping. You know, every time you see someone, the first thing is that they have, oh, did you hear about that? Oh, did you hear about this? Oh, can you imagine what happened? And that is very toxic. It's a very toxic environment to be in. And so, guys, that can be a real turn off for people who are not like them. It will be fine for people who are like them. And you know, these people kind of find their little crew. And so they will sit down and gossip all the time. But if you're not like that and you are caught up into this kind of situation, it can be a real turn off. The next thing, guys, is stinginess. Oh my God. Some people are so stingy. They believe by hoarding stuff or by, you know, buying the cheapest things or buying them, you know, or, you know, just stingy. That, but they want, if you, for example, offer to buy something for them, they'll buy the most expensive stuff. But if they're buying it, they will purchase, you know, for you, they will give you a limit. Just stingy. That is such a turn off as well, right? Now, the next thing I believe that's really a turn off is always giving advice, unsolicited advice. Nobody asks you anything. Perhaps the person just wants to unload because they're having, you know, a difficult time and they just want to unload. But then you, as soon as they open their mouth and say one thing, you have like 50 million advice. Do this, or you should do that, do that. And we all get caught up in that kind of thing, right? But I tend to catch myself these days, especially because my profession is to help others, right? So I'm always trying to kind of like, you know, I mean, it's the first thing, but I also recognize nowadays that you know, that people don't always want an advice. They just want to let it out, to talk about it. If they ask you, then that's fine. The next thing, guys, is that somebody who knows everything about everything. I mean, anytime you open your mouth, they have a solution for the problem. They know that. They've done that. They've experienced that. They know everything. Mr. or Mrs. Know It All. Miss or Mr. whatever it is, know it all. But they just know everything about everything. It can be such a turn off, guys. And I'm sure that for you guys who've experienced that, you understand that. And the next thing that can be a real turn off, guys, somebody who is stuck in the past. Their wife left them, their husband left them, and they cannot get over it. 20 years has passed, the man is married, have children, whole family. 20 years has passed, the woman is married and have family for whatever it might, you know, I mean, all kind of different things happen, different experiences, and they keep going back to the past. I was married and yes, this happened and blah, 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 blah. Guys, that can be a real turn off. Seriously, a real turn off. You know, I know someone who every time I talk to them, they go back to how their parents this and how they did this and how they, when they were young, this happened, but never about anything in the future or anything pleasant. It was always bringing back all this negativity over and over again, every single time. I mean, not one time if you speak to this person, they'll tell you, they'll start talk about what's happening now or whatever it is. It's always going back to the past and bemoaning all of the things that happened that I guess it must have hurt them for them to hold on to like that, but still, we all have to learn to let things go, guys. And so these are some of the things that if you do this on a, you know, you have your in your relationships, you do this kind of a thing, you are going to push people away. People are not going to want to be around you. So I'm hoping that just bringing this to your awareness, because I know you all know this, that you will see and be more aware and take more caution in how you show up in your relationships and in your personal interactions with others. Okay, guys, this is Christine, your relationship and mindset master doctor and your leverage for change. Guys, always, always, always keep growing. And by the way, please, if you found some information in this that might be helpful to you, please don't forget to like my video and to share it with someone else. In the meantime, take care. Bye-bye.